Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our second meet and greet for restaurant and food service management majors at UCF Rosen College. And thank you for being here. We have great information to share, so I will get started right away so we can move on to guests. As you can see, we have our agenda. This is what we'll be discussing. And first off, after my welcome here, I will turn it over to Mr. David Wickstead, who all of you might know is the Internship Coordinator for our degree program. There's been a lot of confusion and new information and wonderful developments around the internship programs. And you know, given what's going on right now in our world and regionally, I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I know I certainly do. So we continue to provide as a service, bringing you the details of the internship program and also the communications hub, which resides in web courses, and Mr. Wickstead will talk about that. And then after that, we have our own chef, Mr. Rob Seltzer, who teaches in our techniques course, and he will lead our panel of experts. And we have today Mr. Dave Mcdowell, former Senior Vice President of Development for Greystone Communities, who will discuss senior living in general, and then a little bit more about potential F&B opportunities in that sector. We have Mr. Michael Goldstein, former National Director of Q&A, QC of compliance for Compass USA. We'll talk about large mass scale cooking and potentially opportunities that still exist in this sector. And then we have Mr. Sanjeev Razdan. He is the founder of the GLEAM Network, which is a global leadership enhancement and mentorship program. And he's the former COO of Sweetgreen and many other companies in food and beverage. And he will introduce our super special Rosen College GLEAM partnership only for restaurant majors. So this is a wonderful opportunity. And then we'll take your questions. So that's how we will roll today. And just to let everyone know, we are recording. I want to make sure that you understand that. And so what I'm going to do is turn it over to Mr. Wickstead. You're muted.
I just had to unmute. Sorry about that. But hello, everyone. I am so excited that you're here, and I'm really excited about the changes that we have made in internship. We actually made these changes in the summer, but now they're continued through the fall. I know I'm going to, in a very short time, give you a lot of information, ladies and gentlemen. But what I really want you to do is kind of just digest it. Look at it after I present it. Take a day or two, go through it, because I'm going to show you the website. And then if you have questions, let us know from there. So it's really kind of an introductory of what we're going to look at with our new internship classes. So at that point, Dr. Mejia, if we want to go to our next slide. So these are, once again, I'm one of 3 internship instructors. I teach the Internship One class. Professor Canova, who is on the left of the screen, she teaches Internship 2. And then Professor Wiki, who's our program director, she teaches Internship 3. So you will get a touch from every one of us throughout your Rosen career of the 3 of us internship instructors. We are currently in room 214 when we get back to campus. We are all virtual, the 3 of us, for office hours and everything this year with internships. So once again, when we do get back though, we are in 214 on Rosen, and there's our email addresses if you have a question to email us. So our next slide is actually some of the changes that we did in Internship 1, 2, and 3. So Internship 1 now is a personal and professional development class. So this is class-based activity that's going to have a focus on professional development. So one of the biggest changes with Internship 1 is you do not need any verification of employment. So you do not need to have a position to be working to come into Internship 1. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on those skills for you so you can network while you're in college, so you can identify organizations and associations that you want to work for. You can practice on your elevator pitch when you have to give that elevator pitch, about communication. So we're giving you these skills to start that professional development, to build you in that leader, to be that professional. So like I say, that's the biggest change there, and we don't have any verification of employment, but we do have, I don't want to say weekly, but more than not, we have weekly lectures and assignments now that are focused on this personal and professional development. With Internship 2, you're going to explore your career path. You're going to start actually now working in the industry. You will need 250 hours of verification of work hours in Internship 2 moving forward. So there are other assignments that are associated with Internship 2. Like I know Professor Canova has identify a mentor and how you work with a mentor, writing a career plan. There's, like I say, other objectives that she is working with in that class. And then we go to Internship 3 where you launch your career. So here you need another 250 hours of verified work experience. So in conjunction with that, there's other assignments in Internship 3 that, again, you have to follow and participate in, leadership workshop series and things like that. But it's really, really about giving you those touch points to know where you are and where you want to start that career. And then when you graduate, where you're going to go from there. So those are kind of the changes with Internship 1, 2, and 3. Now, our next slide, Cynthia. So the hub. So the hub right now, ladies and gentlemen, I like to say is your one-stop shopping for everything that we do with internships, career services, we list on the hub. So it is located on your dashboard in web courses. You do not have to sign up for it. Once you actually become a student, that will populate automatically. Go into the hub and explore it. And I will say, I see Angel out there in the crowd today. Angel I met with earlier and I showed him the hub. And how big of a help was that, Angel? Right on, right? So, absolutely. So go in and explore that hub. We post everything there: career opportunities, career services, volunteer, international internships, which we were told right now from the university that will be resuming in summer 2021. But honestly, that could be changing. You know, it's updated information, but that's what we are planning for. So once again, for our international students, there's information on there for you that you need also, F1, J1 visas. And then the big thing also is there's scholarship information, ladies and gentlemen. We love scholarships because you don't have to pay that money back. So look at those scholarships and see what's on there once again and apply for them. All right, so now our last slide, like I said, and this is the big one, is this is PrEP. So this is the Professional Rosen Experiential Portfolio. And that's a beautiful definition of what it's on there. But in that second bullet there, really what it comes down to with PrEP, it comes down to engagement. We want you to be engaged while you are in college. Actually, research has shown the more engagement that you have while you are in college, the greater chances you're going to land that career that you want. So that's what all PrEP is about engagement, is about taking advantage of these opportunities professionally, personally, to once again, build you as a better leader. So I do have on here, and actually, Cynthia, if you just want to hit because I do have it linked with the hub, PrEP is located within the hub. So when you go onto the hub,
I don't know that I can do that.
Okay.
I don't want to mess it up in case it takes me out and I can't get back.
Okay, but if you go into the hub, my advice to every student here is go into that hub and explore it. Go through it. Like I said, you'll see where the PrEP is located and everything that we talk about PrEP, because you have to have an open 250 hours, and that's 750 work hours. And then, oh, Stephanie,
did you want to share your screen, David, and you can go into the hub?
If we have time, no. I know we're on.
Yeah, we have time. We
Okay.
have time. Yeah, I can't.
Or David, you can show them PrEP on the website too, because there's also a video there that explains what PrEP does. So if they don't want to read everything, you can also watch and learn.
Right.
Of course, now I can't get out of here for a second. All right. So I don't even know. I do have the hub pulled up because I did. All right, so let me come in here real quick. I'm just going to show you a very quick of the hub where it's located. So this is the hub right here. So when you click on it, this is going to be your home page. What you want to do is scroll down into one of these three boxes here, and these will link you to what prep is. Actually, internship, we have our own instructor, internship and career services intro, so you can get to know us. And then here is where we list all these opportunities. But with prep, when you click prep, and again, I'm not going to really get into this because there's a lot here, but just to show you, this is what prep is all about. So it's your 3 steps with internships. You don't need, once again, verification in Internship One of employment, but you're going to do 250 hours of professional and personal development, and then the 250 hours in Internship 2 and 3. And then the new initiative with prep is this Open 250 right here. Here's where, once again, you can do anything that aligns with your career, outside of your career. You can join a club, an organization. You can be a mentor, a mentee. All of this counts, previous work experience, toward this 250 hours here of these open hours. Now, we can, or I should say, you can use up to 100 hours of previous work experience to help offset those 250 hours. So let's say I have 100 hours from a work experience that I can use. There's a form to download in prep. You would put that in there and submit that. And we have, once again, people working with us to check all of these submissions that you will have credited 100 hours for the 250. So what that would mean is you need another 150 hours in different leadership opportunities, in organizations, in student clubs, volunteering, doing self-learning, actually working with professors, doing research. That's part of prep also. So here's where you get those Open 250. And actually here, it's a great video. I'm not going to play it because it's over 11 minutes, but go in and play that video. It explains the whole prep. Dr. Fayel does a great job explaining it, and other faculty and staff members about what prep is. So go to look at that. And then how do you get prepped or prep yourself? Here's where you begin your steps. So this is what we're saying here. So 250 for Internship 1, 250 for 2 and 3, and then that Open 250. So you are actually turning in 1,000 hours of work experience, counting personal and professional development with prep. And then you do have to take, and I'm not going to do the little quiz. There is a little quiz here that you do have to take, and I'm an instructor. That's why you see this view from mine. But you do take that little quiz, and what that does is it acknowledges you that you're in prep and you're in the system, and you can start submitting that way. And then the last thing I'm going to show you with prep here is, this is the form right here. So you want to download this form, and actually what the form looks like is this chart right here. So you can see how many hours you can get up to using these different experiences with prep. And this would be the form, the downloaded form here would be the form that you put your hours in, and then you would actually upload it to here in prep in that module where you turn it in. If you do have any questions on prep, there is an email that you can send a prep message to, and it is, what is it? And I just looked it up and I forgot it. Prep at, oh God, I apologize for that.
So David, you could put it up into the chat box.
Yeah, I know
that everyone.
On my screen, but
yeah,
but that's what I basically wanted to show you. My best advice is go in and read it and explore the site, the hub, because the hub also lists job opportunities that are posted. So as employers send us opportunities, we post them on the hub and go in there, and we have them broken out as far as F&B, entertainment, hotel, lodging, once again, theme park. So you can look at your different categories where you want to go. So my advice is go explore the hub. And I think I'm at my 10 minutes. I'm just over. Sorry, Cynthia.
That's okay. That's all right. Okay, so there, I noticed, David, there's a few questions that are in the chat if you wanted to answer those, and also put some of your, but you'll be available. We will also bring this all back together at the very end for Q&A. So let's move into our panel. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rob Seltzer, who will introduce our speakers, and we'll continue on.
All right, thank you, Cynthia, and welcome everybody. So glad that all of you could be here today. I'm impressed with our numbers. I'm glad to see so much interest in both our students, from our students, and in our instructors as well, and the support we're getting from the staff, because this is all real important stuff to know and understand, and a great way to start off planning for your future. And right now with their situation, this is great. Using Zoom is actually a real great way to do all this. So we've gathered some people together to talk to the students. I feel we have a little powerhouse here of experience and a variety of backgrounds in the industry. And I think what you're going to see after you hear from all three of these gentlemen, that, you know, because you're in the restaurant or food and beverage degree path, doesn't mean that you will necessarily end up working in a restaurant. Many of you want to. I think some of you are probably entrepreneurs and want to have your own place, but in the near future that may be difficult. So there's so many other ways to go. I can even tell you myself, which I'll take 2 minutes. Some of you don't know me, besides being a chef instructor like Chef Judy. I'm also the director of food and beverage operations for the college. So that's where I spend most of my time, is managing the food labs and a lot of things around the college and university. But I've done everything from being an instructor here, an instructor in a culinary school at Le Cordon Bleu. I was the executive chef at the University of Notre Dame. I came to Orlando as the general manager for the food service at the Orange County Convention Center. So many different things. Excuse me 1 second. Go on, out, out, out. Of course, the dogs always get noisy as soon as I start to talk. They've been quiet the entire time. So, but then also in distribution. I work for Cisco. I have my own import and distribution company, many different things. And my big message in that is, you have no idea where you're going to be 10 years from now or 15 years from now. I think on average, I mean, you might have, well, I've had, I think, 14 different jobs in my career, something like that. Because there's also restaurants sprinkled in there and other things you do. So we don't really know what we're going to do, where life's going to take you, but your degree is going to prepare you to handle all these different challenges. But the big thing is you got to have your eyes open and know what is out there. So we've gathered three people. Mr. Dave Mcdowell, who is on screen there. He's the guy with the goatee, and he even got dressed for us, got a sport coat on and everything. I think he's excited to be here. He was, he just retired, he'll tell you, the Senior Vice President of Development for Greystone Communities, which is actually a real estate development company, but they build senior living communities. And they're the ones that are managing the Legacy Point project, which, if you're not familiar with it, UCF is partnering with Greystone and building their own senior living community, a long-term care and active living community near main campus. We have Mike Goldstein,
Rob,
who is a personal friend of mine and also has spent, I guess, probably as many years in food service as I have, because we graduated about the same time from college. And
Rob, can you hear me?
Yes.
You're breaking
Am I going on too long for you?
Yeah, no, you're breaking up really bad. Let's go ahead and have our guests.
Yes.
If we could have our guests introduce themselves, because you're breaking up really, really bad, so we didn't get to hear everything. So if we could go ahead and
okay, so let's start with
I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll start with Dave. Like I said, if you can hear me, like my computer died this week and the Chromebook is not as effective.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Dave, if you can hear me, go ahead. Go ahead, Cynthia. Are you?
All right.
Go ahead
Yep,
and
I'm
take
on.
over.
All right, Dave. A little bit about yourself.
My name is Dave Mcdowell, based here in Dallas, Texas. Spent the first 20 years of my professional career as an architect. Went through college for that, got a master's of architecture. Started working for firms in the Dallas area, and did that for more than 20 years, with majority of that time in senior living design. Through a client contact, I had an opportunity to join a real estate development company called Greystone. That company has, for almost 35 years now, been exclusively devoted to developing senior living communities for not-for-profit organizations all over the country. I just recently retired from that firm after 25 years with Greystone, overseeing the design and real estate development activities of that company. So I'm pretty well versed on senior living as a component, and understand the food and beverage priorities and importance of that as it relates to the daily life of the folks who are going to live, in particularly at Legacy Point, which is a UCF sponsored community. And I've enjoyed working with the college and with Rosen College as well during the last several years.
Great, thank you. And if we could next hear from Mike, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Goldstein. I have worked in the food industry since 14 years old, from originally the Northeast. Graduated from Culinary Institute of America in 1978, and then continued on my education into restaurant management, hospitality law, and also union management. Started working in the industry in South Florida in a pattern of restaurants with one corporation, and moved on from there and stayed into operations, got back in the kitchen, didn't want to get rusty as a chef, and went back in the kitchen for many years after that, and then left operations to go into food sales, because I wanted to understand the other parts of the business. And that's what I will speak about later on, about being diversified, especially in this pandemic times, where you want to be able to utilize all of your knowledge from front door, the back door, and other parts of the business. Subsequently, went into food sales and corporate chef or a food broker, largest in the Southeast, represented 35 different manufacturers, center of the plate. Was doing chef tables 25 years ago before they came popular. And 5-6 years into that, someone from my company that I just retired from, Compass, said, "Michael, why don't you work for us?" I said, "No one's ever asked." Mm-hmm. So you'd be amazed how, and I will speak about that, about being humble and, you know, being on stage all the time, and how important it is, because you never know who's watching. So I just retired from my company. My last position in my company was a division senior director of operations, with concentration on QA sanitation, efficiency, productivity, and quality audits. So I worked for President directly. If there was a situation, I got called in to help provide a solution to help their business. So there's many facets of the business one can go into. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. And Sanjeev, please introduce yourself.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Sanjeev Razdan. I have spent about 30 years now in restaurants. I started my career after completing a postgraduate program in hotel administration. Went to work for hotels for 5 years before I joined Yum Brands. And that led to a 20-year international career with Yum Brands, literally all over the world. Moved from India to Dallas to London before I went to work for Applebee's as their COO out of Kansas City. And now most recently, I was the COO for a much younger concept called Sweet Green, based out of Los Angeles. And earlier this year, I had the great privilege of founding a nonprofit volunteer-based organization called GLEAM Network. And we're on a mission to support the leadership development and provide mentoring to everybody that is underserved but determined to get ahead in the restaurant and food service industry. So looking forward to speaking to you about that in a little bit as well.
Great, thank you, thank you. So let's first have ask Dave if you could speak a little bit about the healthcare industry in general, and anything else you'd like to add on that. But in particular, what kinds of opportunities might our students start looking for if they wanted to go into senior living and healthcare? And you're muted. Sorry.
Now, better?
Yeah.
So I'll give you an overview of what senior living is in general, because while healthcare is a component of it, there are many, many other components that make up a senior living campus. And Legacy Point, being developed there in Orlando, is one that has a full service of opportunities, living opportunities for, in this case, people who are older than 62. I'm 70, so I'm looking forward to living there at some point in time when I move to Florida. In any case, though, senior living in contemporary forms has a multiple living environment opportunities. It becomes a very complex business. Independent living or active adult living for residents who are still able-bodied and are very still active in their communities is a component of the campus. There is a component called assisted living, which is for residents who are still fairly cognitively able to conduct their own lives, but are having good days and bad days. We do get into some unique aspects of aging, of having dementia areas for people who have become confused in their older years. Of course, they have a unique challenge in their own right. And then more traditional healthcare, skilled care. In contemporary senior living communities, we're seeing both short-term rehab as well as long-term stay, nursing home care. And so really there are at least 5 different living environments, from active living all the way through somebody who is in late stages of their life. Every one of those folks need to be fed in a whole variety of different ways. So when we look at food and beverage on a campus like this, there are multiple opportunities to contribute to one's lifestyle. In the more active living, independent living component, we'll have more fine dining, more cafe, bistro activities. There'll be a very wide variety of menu planning for those components. Usually those residents are having anywhere from 20 to 30 meals a day, a month on campus, and that's done to specifically help them manage their nutrition. Assisted living is 3 meals a day. Dementia is 3 meals a day, and anything in the skilled care is 3 meals a day. So when we look at a campus like Legacy Point, they're going to be producing 500 to 600 meals a day just to help serve the population on campus. A variety of different strategies that we look for from a culinary standpoint. We have themed dining, we have themed menus that'll change from week to week or month to month to provide some variety. Farm to table movement has become very, very big in many senior living communities. The food and beverage components get involved in catering. They get involved in delivering meals to residents in their home. The kitchen design itself, given the variety of residents who live on the campus and all different kinds of nutritional needs, the whole health and wellness program and nutritional analysis programs are very varied on these communities. So a person who has a wide variety of experiences in culinary planning, in service, in understanding how a person who is aging, how their nutritional requirements and responsibilities from the campus standpoint change over time. There are a whole variety of different opportunities, I think, for people who are going through Rosen colleges and those who are either in the management side or delivering culinary experiences to residents on campus. Of course, with the pandemic, there's a lot of new things that we're having to to deal with now, whether it's food security, making sure that the quality of the food product is not only meeting the healthcare standards, but also meeting the resident expectations. Because food preparation and food experience on a senior living community is one of the first things that our residents rave about, and it's also one of the first things they complain about. So as far as quality control and making sure that there's consistency in planning and food delivery, those are two keys in getting involved in a community like this.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And if anyone has questions as we're going along, if you could go ahead and put them in the chat, we can circle back later. But we appreciate learning about senior living. And so next for Mike, if you could discuss what you would kind of mentioned before about, strategies for taking, advantage of opportunities as they come along, especially as it relates to the pandemic right now. Students really want to know, they want some guidance about how to look at a career during a time like this.
Very good. My first and foremost, students that are in school that have some time before they graduate and also coming out of school, they should respectfully pay their dues and to understand everything from the front door to the back door of any operation. That way they become more diversified and more valuable to a company. So with that said, in the times of this era of pandemic, it's very important for everyone to understand where cuisine is going, where operations are going, to the point of being able to understand that quick service to go is becoming very popular in the healthcare line of having grab and go products in operations that may not have a brick and mortar operation, that ghost kitchens are being very popular now. So there's many facets for someone to go into. For myself, I started out in operations many years ago in back of the house, but I also wanted to understand everything, from the front door to the back door. And that's what makes everyone diversified. The more diversified one is in this industry, the better off they are, because I remember years ago when the big executive chef positions were open, and then the title of executive chef left and it went to kitchen manager or assistant manager and things. So the more a person is diversified in that whole operation, the more valuable they are. Understanding food cost. If a chef says, where are we going with this food cost? Well, chef, it costs $1.47 a portion. We're going to do 33% food cost and charge these prices. This is what you want to know in basics of coming out of school. That way, everyone always wants to be able to provide a solution. You want to be able to provide, to a management team or an ownership team, say, I have this method of doing this that I've done before. May we try it here? And it may streamline something that's called valuable. So things of that nature is what's going on. But just being able to work from all aspects of food service, some of the self-serve lines may not be able to be used anymore in the buffets. So now we're maybe going to wrap products and quick grab to go, but be able to have the top quality as well. So all these different ideas and venues that are going to be the way of the future, and they have already started already. And with also QA and sanitation, before we used to wash and sanitize, but now the industry has taken us to wash, sanitize, and disinfect. And understand the disinfecting process takes a little bit longer. So this is all has to do with scheduling and labor and everything to make sure that we maintain reasonable care for our invitees.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And for Sanjeev, if you could kind of talk about, as you've gone through your career at YUM and other places that you've worked, about where you're seeing the direction of the food service industry, where you think it will go, and how you think students might be able to start preparing themselves in this last year or so in the program to get out there and grab some of those jobs and where they might be.
Absolutely. So I think what we've seen as a result of COVID is that we're probably seeing an acceleration of how the food service industry would have otherwise changed over the next 5 to 6 years. And so what do I mean by that? Let me give you a framework to think about the changes that are occurring. And I want to stick an acronym in your head so that you remember. Let's call it DOTS with 2 T's. So let's start with D. What we're seeing is digital adoption. Digital adoption is just becoming exponentially higher, right? We were seeing brands accessing consumers through apps or their websites, acquiring consumers through that. What we're now seeing is that percentage has enormously increased. And the second thing is digital adoption is also leading to a hyper-personalized experience for consumers in food service. So it is what I call the spotification of food service. If you go onto a website of a certain food service provider, what is happening is the cutting edge brands are starting to understand whether you're on a keto diet, whether you like umami flavors, whether you always want to have spicy chicken, and they're starting to curate the menu that you get to see. So digital adoption, spotification of the industry is the D. O stands for omni-channel. What has happened is that anybody that only has a dining room in food service is in trouble, and deep trouble at the moment. In order to survive and be relevant, you have to be able to get your product out to consumers where they are, hence omni-channel approach. So what that meant in the old days or old currency was, okay, you had a takeaway program or curbside pickup or delivery if you were really smart. What we're now seeing is a proliferation of those channels. Catering has become a very significant channel for several food service providers. And now we're seeing office drops. So I came most recently from a concept called Sweet Green, where we had a channel called Outpost, where we would put a shelf in your office. You would order your lunch let's say by 11 o'clock in the morning, anybody that worked in the office, and by 12 noon, your food at no cost to you would show up on a branded shelf down the corridor where you work. So brands are thinking very differently, and omni-channel is here to stay and exploding. The first T of DOTS, I would say, is technology and automation. Labor costs are incrementally increasing. Brands now have to force themselves more than ever before to figure out how to integrate technology and automation into what they do. You may have heard of the robot Flippy that's flipping burgers now, deployed in California. There are several such solutions available. There's a concept called Spice in Boston, where you go in and robots are actually preparing your bowls for lunch for you. I'm actively engaged at the moment with mentoring a couple of service providers that are creating solutions to replace workers in fast casual industries using robots. So this is not like some science fiction anymore. It's here to stay, and it's going to disrupt our business straight away. The second T in DOTS is talent. How talent is going to be acquired, retained, and trained is extremely different from the way we were doing it. In fact, just before this, I was with a service provider called One Huddle. What One Huddle does is essentially convert learning into what they call micro learning. Our population today, our workforce, does not have the bandwidth or the mental attention span to spend, watching long videos. It is all that the economy now is about bite-sized chunks. If you're a gig economy worker, if you're a frontline worker in our industry, you want a quick video and you want it gamified, right? So you want to have quizzes, gamification. So that's one thing that's happening to talent. The other thing is talent acquisition is now going completely online. Even the conversation that used to happen over the phone with the recruiter is now happening on text messages, right? And the talent pool is completely shifting. So disruption of talent acquisition, training, and retaining is happening. And the S is sanitation, right? The world is changed forever and a day. Social distancing in some shape or form is not going away. People's hypersensitivity to sanitation and hygiene is not going away. And how brands are going to cope with that, integrate sanitation into both their back of the house procedures, but also in their front of the house is changing. And how service providers integrate with that is changing fundamentally. So those are just some ways that I think the industry is changing. How can you get ready and think about preparing yourselves to enter this world of change? I'm going to give you two ways of thinking about this. Number one, if you're thinking about it in the near term, right? In the very near term, in the next 12 to 18 months, what am I going to do? What's happening? And some of you may be thinking there's clouds of doom in this industry. That is so not true. There are winners more than there are losers. There's concepts growing by 20, 30% at the moment, right? Anything that has a drive-through is exploding. Anything that has delivery is growing ridiculously fast, right? Anybody that's got a game, their game ahead on technology is winning. For example, Popeyes as a concept on the back of one chicken sandwich is growing at the rate of 30%. So just to give you a data point. So don't be kidding yourself by saying, somehow this food service industry is in pain. So in the near term, be very tactical, think about concepts that are growing and brands that are growing. And like I said, if you want a simple filter, if you got a drive-through, you got delivery, and you've got one step ahead in technology, you're probably outpacing the market. So start tracking those brands and start focusing on employment opportunities with them. So that's one very simple filter. The second thing that I'd encourage you to do is, clearly you've got internship opportunities coming up. You would have some work experience. Learn. Be curious beyond what you are doing and what functional roles been assigned to you where you are. Make sure you're asking your organization, your company, your store to probe into those areas that I've spoken to you about, right? Ask them about, hey, how about, can I do a ride along with the area director for a day? Can you tell me about how you're thinking about the future of this business? Can I go and spend half a day with your marketing department? Ask. And the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So demonstrate a lot of intellectual curiosity. Go and sign up for podcasts that are relevant to our industry. One of my favorites is the David Novak Leadership Podcast. There's several others. If you're technologically inclined, go and sign up for Pivot with Kara Swisher and Professor Scott Galloway. That'll give you a lot of insights into how the world of technology is changing. So long and short of it is, be tactical about brands that are winning and be very intellectually curious about these dimensions I've shared with you, and start building up your LinkedIn profile, go and sign up for podcasts and learn more. Cynthia.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all. That was great advice. I feel inspired. I feel really inspired. So we just have maybe three or so more minutes. And I just wanted to quickly ask each of you for a minute or so, beginning with Dave, like how can students break into senior living? What's if they want to work in F&B management, or they want to get in the kitchens or serve or whatever it is, can you just give us a quick perspective? How do they get in? And you're muted.
Thank you. Well, one of the unique characteristics of the Legacy Point campus is the fact that it has a very, very tight relationship with UCF and Rosen College. So in the planning of that campus, we made sure that there was going to be opportunities for students to participate from an internship or an educational perspective on how to care for seniors, how to plan for their culinary needs, how to work through the healthcare side of nutritional analysis. And I know Abe Pazam and Rob Seltzer have been a big part of us paying close attention to what's going to go on that campus. So in any senior living community, as Sanjay said, you really do need to start at the basics to understand the business before you can influence a whole lot. So I think senior living communities is given the variety of active living to healthcare on any of those campuses. People with unique, innovative approaches to food delivery, I think will be welcomed from a professional standpoint.
Wonderful.
Can I jump back in? Am I live? Am I coming
No,
in
Rob, you
clear
still,
now?
sorry, we can't.
Really?
It's still breaking up. I just wanted to mention on Dave's side is that Rosen College now has an introduction to senior living management. It's HFT 3005, taught in the fall and this spring. And all hospitality managers and restaurant majors can take it just to understand how all the different departments work. So I put in a plug for that, Dave. In addition, maybe some of you know, I worked in senior living. That was the first job in my career, and it was the last job when I was in the industry as an executive chef. So this is a great lifestyle and enables you to have a life. You can have, you know, kids, you can travel, you can go to school. There's a lot of really good benefits around it. So thank you for mentioning that, Dave. Students, I think, should be well to look into that. There is one, thank you. There's one question I have here for Mike from a student. You know, how does a student go about getting into the QA and sanitation side of the business, you know, coming out of school, or maybe even in an internship? That's kind of a hard thing to get into.
Well, absolutely. So every company has a QA department of some nature. And as an internship, you know, it would be great for someone to go. So if you're talking contract food service companies, there's all different divisions of a company in all different sectors. So everyone has that. But I will tell you one thing, continuing courses in advanced sanitation and quality assurance, it does help, because in this specialty field, it's very important for everybody to have that basic knowledge and to also be ServSafe certified. So prior to understanding that, and then there's also advanced classes that one can take as well.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. All right, so I'd like to thank all the panelists for being on this call, and we're just going to now switch over for about 10 minutes to present to the students an opportunity for a mentorship program. And afterwards, we will offer up for all the panelists if students have questions. And I see there's some questions populating in the chat, so I want to make sure we get to those. So let me just share my screen here. Make sure I have the right one. Yes, okay.
Cynthia?
So, yes.
Rob was trying to ask something earlier, and if I may interject, what he's asking is to ask Sanjeev why students should not discount a career in QSR.
Ah, sure. Sanjeev, if you want to take that question.
Why students should not discount a career in QSR? I had no idea, first of all, that students discount a career in QSR. Couple of selling points of why QSR. It is only, by the way, one of the largest employers in the world, right? It is the largest in terms of revenue. And guess what happens when the economy goes slow? People turn to QSR. Guess what happens when the economy does well? They have a lot more money to spend on higher end items in QSR. It is a recession-proof sector of our economy, incredibly robust. And if you have passion like I do to work for brands that touch human beings in their everyday lives, that's QSR. The second reason is that unlike several other industries, QSR is got opportunities and roles in every conceivable function that you can dream of, from operations to technology to human resources to supply chain to design, construction, franchising, licensing, legal, what have you. Whatever your interest is, there is a place for you there. And finally, given the size and scale of that industry, their ability to invest behind talent development, leadership, and essentially putting an ecosystem around you to progress your career is second to none. So
Thank you.
Yep.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
Wonderful. All right, so I'd like to move on oh, go ahead. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'd like to add something to that. Early in my career, I was given the opportunity with my company to do a retail tour of a big city, and we did New York City. And when you talk about QSR, you know, there are companies in New York City that, speaking of the technology and quick service, but not, I'm not talking quick service with just standard cuisine. I'm talking high levels of cuisine from, you know, companies like Pret Manger and all these other companies that are in the city, to meatball concepts, to this, and they're all quick cuisine. So you can take quick cuisine all the way up to hot and have it quick, and have a diversified talent and opportunities in that field.
Point well taken, but things are transforming. I think we have kind of old ways of looking at things, and it's very helpful to have industry leaders such as yourself to point us in the right direction, help wake us up to see how things are. So appreciate those perspectives. So what I'd like to do now is, together with Sanjeev and David, we're going to present to you, Mr. Razdan will present to you, exclusive for restaurant and food service majors. I always get super excited when stuff's just for you, because you're super special, and I'm really excited about this. So we'll go ahead and let Sanjeev start, and then David and I may come in and out, but this has to do with those prep hours that David mentioned. So Mr. Razdan, please take it away.
Thanks, Cynthia. So why don't I just give a 2-minute overview, and then I'll turn it over to David and you to talk through the structure of how this is going to work. But let me start with a kind of the big why. One of the most critical ways of managing your career, investing in yourself, is to find yourself one or more great mentors earlier on in life. I have not yet met a senior leader in food service, it doesn't matter what industry or which particular sector they come from, that hasn't shared with me and says, going back, I'm where I am because I had mentors who invested in me, who had that tough conversation, told me how to show up, and had told me those things that you can't learn in a book, not in a training video, in no orientation anybody ever shares with you, right? So it's super important and a massively critical tool as you think about growing your careers, is to find yourself one or more great mentors. I'm delighted to share with you one such way of doing that. So I belong to an organization called GLEAM Network. This is a nonprofit, entirely volunteer-based organization, completely in the service of restaurant and food service industry. And we particularly seek out folks that are underserved, and we support them through leadership development and providing mentoring to them. Our network is full of very successful leaders from the food service industry who want to give back and support others like yourselves in getting ahead. So because it's completely nonprofit, these are folks who are, we have access to some incredible talent who come from a wide cross section, right? And what we've done is, with the best brains in the business, people who've done that for other very large organizations before, but also organizations like the Women's Food Service Forum, who understand mentoring in a very deep way, we have structured a mentoring program and have custom made it just for you. And we're piloting for the very first time an industry student mentor program, specifically just for all of you at Rosen College. So on that note, I'll turn it over to David to share a little bit more of the structure of how this is going to work.
Okay, so if you want to scroll down, Cynthia, with what we put together, Dr. Mejia, what we put together. So first of all, we are so excited about this pilot opportunity. Dr. Mejia and I and the department, we've been working on this really, I want to say since January, somewhere around this, to put this together. And what we have come up with as a partnership with GLEAM is a great opportunity for you, ladies and gentlemen, to help with mentorship. Now, I will say quickly too, Internship 2, one of the student learning objectives is to identify a mentor. So what a great opportunity right here to hit that chance also. So what we're looking at, and actually GLEAM has put a wonderful program together that, once again, we did not reinvent the wheel. This is their idea that the one big thing that we love so much, we incorporated it. So what you will be working on with your mentor is that one big thing that you want to learn this semester. So you would identify that developmental area plan. You're going to create your plan. You're going to work with your specific mentor on your plan with a couple touch points in there, like we were saying, throughout the semester to see where you are going to go and how you actually are going to get that one big thing done. This was a great project and we're so excited. I can't wait to see how this is going to turn out with our students. Because one of the things we want to do as we go down to our timeline is we actually want to do a program through Zoom where our mentor or the mentees are presenting to us what you actually learned in this program. So with our timeline, so we need an essay from you for 200 to 300 words by Friday, September 11th by 5 p.m. on why do you want to participate in this program? What is your one big thing that you would like to explore with your mentor? Once again, include a faculty reference email in there, whatever you can do. And then, as I was saying, this has to be emailed to me by Friday, September 11th by 5 p.m. So my email address is david.wixted@ucf.edu. Once we collect them, we will go through our students, and then you're going to be contacted by the 18th if you're selected to participate in the program. And then what GLEAM will do is GLEAM also will now help with these deadlines that they are going to, once again, identify and get your mentor so we know who we're going to be steps with. You're going to be notified of your mentor and your next steps. And then I love this part too that GLEAM puts in is that they want us to attend a mandatory virtual orientation. And that is so good because, as he said, so we know exactly what is going on, what everyone wants to do, and we have that information. We know we're on the same page and what we're going to go from there. And then you will actually start your official program on that week of that October 5th. And it is an 8-week accelerated program, like I said, this time around for our pilot program. And so what we look for here is the mentee application process is, here's our timeline. So frequency of meetings, once again, about 2 times a month. Now, this is something you will have to work on a schedule with your mentor to fit both of your best schedules to actually meet. But we want to try to have 2 meetings a month with 2 hours a week just to check in, to see where you are, to help with your plan, any suggestions that they told you to work on, your mentor, that you can do and be ready for the next meeting that you meet with them. So you keep that communication going. So what we are looking for you as the mentee is your proposed one big thing. And again, you're going to prioritize your topics, and then you're going to work with your mentor on these proposed topics and experiences and come up with your plan and work on this one big thing. So now, as that last bullet here in that mentee outcomes, it's critical that both the mentee and mentor co-create the experience relationship. So it's a two-way street, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot rely on the mentor to do the work. You need to do the work and work with the mentor, once again, to co-create that experience. But we do believe that what you are going to get out of this is going to be priceless, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have a contact moving forward with this mentor throughout your career that you can rely on, call back with. So it's, again, building that network. And when we do, like I say, we want to try to do this report, this Zoom report, you're also going to be looking at other people in the program and their mentees. So you're building your network. And that's what it's about too, is building that network for the future. So here's our mentee deliverables. And what we're going to do is, thank you, I just remembered, I apologize, I got to finish putting that web course. But we will have a web course for the 5 students to start with. And everything will be funneled through web courses. So we will once again look at any option or any issues or your work. We're going to have you once again report to us through web courses where your progress is, following our timeline here. So once again, when you do get accepted, there will be a web course for you that's just specifically GLEAM and Rosen for this program here. I know what you're probably saying, great, another web course on my dashboard, but honestly, it's the best way to go about this because it keeps us all on the same page. We have all the same information in that web course, and that's where we're going to deliver it from there. Am I missing anything, Dr. Mahia? I'm trying to think.
No, but let me just add just a couple of quick things for everyone. So again, this is a pilot program that we are engaged with for the restaurant majors only with the GLEAM Network. So GLEAM will provide the mentors through their network, and we will provide 5 students who would like to pilot this program with us so that we can keep going for future semesters. And so, yes, this will live in web courses. This will be monitored through Mr. Wickstead and myself. We will meet all these checkpoints to make sure that you are working on this, what GLEAM calls your one big thing. What is it that you want out of your career? Maybe it's to figure out how to get a job in COVID. Maybe it's to figure out how to run your own company. Maybe it's to, figure out, how to make a product, right? So whatever your dream is or your, pointed one big thing you want to work on, that's what we're asking you to consider so that you can work on that for 8 weeks only. It's October and November. You'll work on that and all of these hours will count towards your prep.
Right.
So just going back here, because I see we're a little bit over the time, just right here is, by Friday, September 11th, we're asking students to write 200 to 300 words about why you'd be interested in trying this pilot program or working with GLEAM or, having a mentor to lead you, what that might do for you. And then your one big thing, what is it that you would like to work on in the next 8 weeks? And then you will send that email to Mr. Wigstead with your resume. And then a team of faculty members from our department will go through and select who we think would, might really do well in the program to kick it off. And then we hand it over to GLEAM. And then UCF Rosen College and GLEAM works together throughout the next 8 weeks to fully understand. So I will send this PDF to everyone on this call and all restaurant majors. And then I'll probably need to have a follow-up if you have any questions at all, because this is a lot of information. And then those who are selected and who work through it will be meeting on a very regular basis to let you know what is expected, just to have some accountability and to help provide a platform that's backed by UCF so that students have support to work out with industry, all right? Anything, Mr. Razdan, that you would like to add about what we've said?
Dr. Mahia, I think between you and David, you guys have covered this adequately. But all I'd say, it's a fabulous opportunity, and I do hope that each one of you will try and get the most out of it.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, so let's see. I think
I know we got a question here from Dylan. Is this purely a mentorship program or is it also a volunteer program? So it is a mentorship program.
right. Okay, so oh, we have another question. All right, she says thank you. All right, so this has been recorded, so you can go back and look at it. I will follow up with everyone that's on this meeting about all of the different things that we've talked about. And I want to thank our guests, Mr. Mcdowell, Mr. Goldstein, and Mr. Razdan. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day during this time and joining us and helping our students to understand. And this is quite a service. We're in great need to hear from you in the industry right now. It's very important. And so with that, I'd like to thank everyone again for joining us, and we'll follow up.